Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Jesse. Welcome to my wrestling show, the show where we're going to talk about wrestling, college wrestling, freestyle wrestling, folk style wrestling, high school wrestling, all things wrestling. I love wrestling, it's a passion of mine. I want this channel to grow into another large channel that can compete with the big wrestling media corporations. I think we need more than just one or two media outlets that cover the sport of wrestling, and I'm hoping to do that. So we're going to go through some lineup previews. Today we're going to go through the UNC Tar Heels. We're going to go through their lineup, look at their preseason schedule, see what their team might look like at the NCAA tournament. So let's go through the lineup here. So I'm just going to use Russell Stat. So 125 looks like it's going to be Jack Wagner. It was Spencer Moore last year. He was decent, but probably makes sense to give him a red shirt. He likely wouldn't have um, been really even a close contender to All-American this year. So give him that extra year to get better. Um, Jamie Hernandez, really solid wrestler here. Got to stay healthy. He normally gets hurt throughout the year. So Lachlan McNeil, like him, he's going to be tough. Zach Sherman, obviously he's a known name. He's going to be really good. Austin O'Connor, enough said, national champ. Um, this one is probably up in the air. They have Joey Mazzara here. Sonny Santiago has started in the past, so this will probably be a battle. 170 floor, Clay Laut, obviously really good, returning All-American. 184, Devin Kane, pretty tough. Max Shaw, pretty tough. Brandon Whitman, solid. So let's go through the rankings here on Intermat and see how they shape up. They're not going to have anyone ranked at 125. Again, he his ceiling, I'll say, is if he qualifies for the NCAA tournament, you feel like he had a really good year. Um, no real shot of AAing or really scoring any points at the NCAA tournament, but that doesn't mean he can't help in other ways, like at the ACC tournament or winning duels. So um, if he qualifies, you feel good about where you landed with him. 133 again, Jamie Hernandez. You got to stay healthy. He's been the starter for a couple years, but Joe Heilman has beaten him out, or should I say, taken over as a starter the past couple years as well, because Jamie gets hurt. So he's got to stay healthy. When he's healthy, he's pretty dang good. Um, he's ranked here number 11, which again, if he's healthy, that's probably about right. He could probably wrestle with some of these other guys up here again if he stays healthy. So he's got to stay healthy. If he's healthy, he could probably make a push to AA on the best day. So hope to see him improve and see if he can push for a podium. Lachlan, Lachlan McNeil. Okay, so he's going to be a redshirt freshman. He's going to be tough. Let's see where they got him ranked on the Intermat. I don't know if they'll have him too high. He's at 21, which honestly is probably pretty conservative. My perception of him, he's tough, man. I've seen him wrestle a few times, and I really think he could kind of be up here in the Carter Young type, Sammy Alvarez type, Bo Bartlett type wrestlers. Depending on if he can get his offense going. So really interested to see how he does. 21, right? You might think, okay, that's going to be an easy win for Joey's Argo. No, he's going to be tough. They're probably looking for him to make some noise at the NCAA tournament and potentially All-American. 149, Zach Sherman. Obviously, he's really good. Previous All-American. Looking to come back for his fifth competitive year. Up at 140. He did 149 last year. We'll do it again this year. I think, he can get some offense going. He really only has a blast double takedown. I'd like to see him develop maybe a different offensive attack. He does a lot of level changes, up and down level changes. So look, I'd like to see him develop a different offense attack, so he has more ways to score points than just kind of a blast double. 15, based on his season last year, that's probably fair because he had a really tough schedule and didn't have a great record. Um, but don't be surprised if he ends up All-Americaning, ends up in this 10 through 12 range throughout the year. So I would say 15 is probably his floor. I'd look for him to go up from there. 157. This is Austin O'Connor. I won't flip back over to the to WrestleStat. National champ, was injured a lot last year. 7 is his floor. Um, would look for. I mean, he had a torn ACL and he placed 8th, right? Or yeah, ended up placing 8th and forfeited his last match. So he could win it. This is a weaker weight, so he could certainly win another national title if he's healthy and can get back to his national champ form. So 7's probably the floor for him. 165, they're not going to have anyone ranked here, again, just because of this is going to be a newish starter. I think Joey's wrestled in the past, but again, if he qualifies, which I wouldn't expect the starter here to do so, but if he qualifies for the national tournament, you feel pretty good about what you got from him. So not much to say there. 174, Clay Laut, ranked number 5. That's probably about right. You could probably see him beating a Tustin Plot. These top 3 guys are going to really be kind of the cream of the crop. It's going to be really tough to get past these top 3. I know Mikey Labrioli never really beats Carter Starocki, but he's really good. And so there's almost like 2 tiers here. You got the Carter Starocki, Makai Lewis tier, Mikey on his own tier, and then everyone else. Clay Laut, as far as he could fall, I really don't see him falling lower than 6th. I'm looking through these names and I don't see someone who could consistently wrestle with him. Obviously, if he had an off day, a Chris Foca could probably beat him. Peyton Mako could probably beat him. But 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, he could definitely lose to an Ethan Smith. Ethan Smith's really good. But I think 6 is his floor and his ceiling's probably 4. So not much wiggle room there, but the good thing is there's a low floor, or a high floor rather. 184 is Devin Kane. He's an interesting wrestler. He'll go out and beat Hunter Bolin from Virginia Tech, beat him twice last year, and then get majored and tech falled by Trent Hiley. He's an interesting wrestler. I'm not sure what to make of him sometimes. I think he has a lot of potential. 10's probably about right. I would say that's pretty generous. They're probably giving that to him because of his wins over Hunter Bolin. But I think he could probably beat a Trey Munoz or Jonathan Lowe. Yeah, this is probably fair. I could see him beating some of these guys, but you could also see him losing to like a Travis Whitlake. Whitlake's really low. He bumped up from 165 and they dropped him a lot for that. That's interesting. Anyways, we'll talk about that when we get to the Oklahoma State lineup. Yeah, I don't think you know what you're going to get quite from Gavin Kane, but he certainly has the potential to kind of end up in this All-American slot. Max Shaw. He 29, that's probably about right. I view him as a little bit better than that, maybe. Potentially kind of in this 20 range. I say that he wrestled Isaac Trumbull a few times and really hasn't come close to beating him. Yeah, Tanner Sloan, yep. So 29 is probably about right. Certainly he could beat some of these guys like a Luke Serber and Owen Pence, but probably 20 is right where he's going to get capped. So he'd have to wrestle like extremely well and just be super on to make some noise at the NCAA tournament. And last, Brandon Whitman. He's been their starter here for a couple years. My concern with him is he just hasn't gotten better. As a true freshman, he was down at 197, or not a true freshman, but a freshman. He was down at 197, and he was tough, had an above 500 record, and man, he just really hasn't taken that next step. I actually don't even see him here ranked, which is probably about right. 36 on Wrestle Stat. I don't see him here, which is probably right. I mean, he could beat these guys. I mean, he could beat a Zachary Knighton Ward from Hofstra. I even think he could beat a Hunter Katka, a Josh Heinzelman. He could beat these guys, but not most of the time, right? He's not going to beat a Wolfgram most of the time. He's capable of wrestling. I mean, he's probably like a 30 to 35 guy. So he hasn't really gotten better, so I probably expect more of the same, since he hasn't really been able to take the jump to the next step. So as far as a tournament team, I think it's going to be tough for them to make a ton of noise. They have, well, I take that back. They have Zach Sherman, Austin OConnor, Clay Laut, right? Austin OConnor, if he wins the national title, Clay Laut gets fourth. That's a lot of points just from those two guys. Zach Sherman could place. Jamie Hernandez could place. Lachlan McNeil could place. So you got 5 bullets in those guys. It'd take a lot for Max Shaw to place. It'd take a lot for Brandon Whitman to place. Gavin Kane could place. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets. 2 probably for sure All-Americans and 4 maybes. If you go 50-50, 2 of those maybes turns into 4 All-Americans, man, you're definitely a top 8 team pushing for a trophy. They still have to do it. That's still probably asking a lot from Jamie Hernandez and Lachlan McNeil and those guys, but it could happen, right? You squeak in a third one, right, with a national champ, a 4th placer, and a 3rd All-American, you're probably still a top 10 team. So they have some options here. They're going to be a pretty good dual team. They're not super weak, because like even a Max Shaw, even though he's not a top 15 guy, he's not really going to get teched, fault, or pinned almost ever, right? He's going to wrestle tough. He's going to wrestle hard. He's going to give himself a chance to win. So they're going to be tough. I'd like to see him get better at 133, get better at 141, get better at heavyweight, get better at 197. And who knows, they can make some noise at the NCAA tournament. So that's my synopsis on UNC going into the year. Let me guys know what you think. So subscribe, comment. Let's start talking about wrestling in the comments section. Give me a subscription if you don't mind. Again, I want to grow this channel to be the next big media wrestling outlet to create some competitiveness in the marketplace, so we're not relying on 1 or 2 websites. Oops, sorry about that. 1 or 2 websites to report on all the wrestling media. Thanks, guys. Talk to you next time.